Welcome to another episode of Should You Take That Case with your host, Lisa Wade, your friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, and creator of our private LinkedIn community, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That is where we get all of our stellar attorney guests. The goal of our show is to be a resource for legal professionals who pursue medical cases by sharing their experience and insights as defense or as plaintiff attorneys. You can catch prior episodes at www.wadenurseconsultants.com/blog on LinkedIn and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Now here's the host of Should You Take That Case, Lisa Wade.
Hey, happy Medical Record Monday to you all. It's me, Lisa Wade, the host of Should You Take That Case. Welcome to a brand new episode. Thanks for coming. I am, as you heard, your host, Lisa Wade, friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, medical record expert, and owner of Wade Nurse Consultants. Think of us when you have those tons of medical records that you need sorted, translated into normal human language, or if you need to locate an expert witness. Visit us at wadenurseconsultants.com. And we get together every week and have this wonderful show, a wonderful podcast, because not only am I the owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, I am also the creator of the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That's where we get all of our stellar attorney guests. That's where they come from. Follow us on LinkedIn. Now, we use this as an opportunity to get to know one another, and we're going to do that today with our guest, Tara Tighe. But before we bring Tara out, let's scoot on over to the comment section, see who's visiting us live today. Anybody that is visiting us, that's an attorney, put an A into that comment section. If you're a paralegal, put a P. If you're a legal assistant, put an L, but put a W if you are part of one of my favorite groups, Women Owned Law. It is a groundbreaking group created to connect and advance women legal entrepreneurs. So visit us at womenownedlaw.org to find out more about us and our upcoming 2023 symposium, April 18th and 19th. Save the date. It's in the Philadelphia area, but they're also going to be having it virtually. How handy is that? But learn more about that at womenownedlaw.org. Now, I want to thank everybody that has come out live to listen to us or catching us on the replay. It's wonderful that you are taking precious time out of your very busy days to be with us. But now it is time to introduce our guest for today. Tara Tighe has been a plaintiff's personal injury attorney for the last 9 years. She has worked at both small and large firms, helping people fight for their rights. She recently left big law to start her own firm so she can give clients the hands-on representation that they deserve. And now let's bring her out. Miss Tara, hi.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Well, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy to be here. How is the weather now, Virginia?
Cold.
I understand.
I'm from New York, but it's cold out. It was in the 20s this morning.
I had to crank out my winter coat this weekend,
Yep.
so
it's
ready.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm definitely glad to have you, and I'm going to find out all about how you deal with medical records that come up as part of your cases. But first, we want to hear all about you. What got you into this whole personal injury gig? What got you to be an attorney? And you can go as far back with that story, even to the crib, as you like. Tell us more.
I don't know if it goes back to the crib, but it probably starts somewhere around there. I remember being like the pre-K, and it was, what do you want to be when you grow up? It wasn't lawyer, it was teacher, but I always knew I wanted to do a job that was helping other people. So as I went through middle school, high school, decided I wanted to be an attorney. So went to college with that in mind, went to law school with it in mind that I wanted to help people. I thought I'd go into criminal law and got really disillusioned with some of the casework, some of the laws that I was learning, and then didn't know what I was going to do because my plan for so long had been to be a criminal attorney. So then I thought I'd go into maybe more of a policy or nonprofit position, but the job I got out of law school was at a plaintiff's firm. So the short answer is it's the job I got out of law school, and I didn't know how it would work out. I certainly didn't think it would work out this way. I absolutely fell in love with the work. From the first time that a client just really appreciated what I had done for them. And it wasn't a huge settlement, but it was enough to get that person back in a vehicle, back on their feet, pay off the bills that had been accruing, and get their life back to normal. And the rest is kind of history. Here I am.
Oh, well, it sounds like you tripped and fell right into your dream job.
without even knowing it, and such a dream that I just started my own firm, and my main focus is helping people. So probably 90% of what I do is plaintiff's personal injury work. Some of it I do for myself, some of it I do supporting other firms, especially small law firms that maybe are down an associate or down an attorney or just need an extra set of hands. So if it's brief writing, file reviews, training associates, and even coverage when attorneys are out on FMLA or parental leave, whatever it might be. So not just working for myself and my clients, but helping other attorneys help their clients.
Oh boy, you're genuinely the boss applesauce now.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Well, now I see you're on your own now. And now just tell me what you do to decide, or how you decide what cases to take or not to take, which is kind of different now that you're on your own.
It is. Most of your guests or listeners, I should say, are familiar with tort law, with personal injury work. And so we all know that you're looking for duty, breach, causation. I like to think of it as, did you get hurt by someone that shouldn't have hurt you? And if you did, what are your damages? So what are your injuries? What are your medical bills? I try to narrow it down a little bit. We're always looking for whether or not the potential client, is at fault. I practice in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. All three states have that really unfair contributory negligence, which for those of you not familiar means if the injured person is even 1% responsible for their injury, they don't recover anything at all. Almost every other state does a comparative look. So when I first look at a case, if I see any element that my client can be blamed for how the accident happened or how their injuries happened, that's a non-starter. And then beyond that, especially on my own right now, I look at, considering what the litigation costs are going to be. Do I have capacity to take on that case? What are the scope of the injuries? So there are some firms that they only want to take catastrophically injured clients. Well, yes, there's a lot of money to be made there, but I'm also looking at people that just genuinely need help, and whether or not I think that my personality and my approach to how I practice is a good fit for them. And if I don't think that we're a good fit, then I'll really do whatever I can to help them find an attorney who can help them.
Oh, it sounds like no case is too small.
That is how I feel about it, because I think that the small cases are where people can really get taken advantage of. And I never want that to happen. So if it's a case where someone just has an emergency room visit and I think they can handle it on their own, I'll give them all the tools and resources they need to do that. Tell them they don't need to hire me. I'm not trying to steal anyone's money. But if you're not getting a fair settlement, give me a call back. So I really do think it's those kind of smaller cases is where insurance companies and other, corporations can really take advantage of people not knowing their rights, not knowing the value of their claim, and just not knowing the system.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Now, when those cases, you finally decide that this is a good case to take, it's reasonable, and those medical records start rolling in, what kind of process or procedure, if any, do you have to manage them?
Yeah. So luckily for a lot of my cases, you're dealing with fairly what I'll call straightforward treatment, that someone takes an ambulance to the emergency room, or they go to urgent care, or they go to their primary care doctor. From there, they'll often get referred to physical therapy or a chiropractor. They'll often see an orthopedist. If they're still in pain after seeing their orthopedist and going through physical therapy, they may present to pain management. At some point, they may present to a neurologist. So the treatment tends to be fairly linear. And in that sense, it's easy for me just knowing, well, here's the typical progression. I keep my medical records organized just kind of in a folder. I try to do everything digitally. I am a completely paperless firm. But if it's something that's more complicated than that, when I review them, I'll do my own, actually make my own medical cron. And I'm so sorry if you can hear my preschooler in the background. She's making all kinds of noise right now.
And that's good.
I think so I'm so sorry if anyone can hear that.
Okay.
But I'll review them that way. If it's something that's more complicated or something that's not in an orthopedic injury, which is mainly what we tend to see in car crashes and trip and falls, we see a lot of orthopedic injuries and neurologic injuries. If it's a different type of injury, then I may need to keep them organized. Or if somebody has a lot of other injuries, I may kind of categorize them in terms of which injuries are being treated. But when those records come in, whether it's me or whether it's a paralegal, somebody needs to pretty immediately be reviewing those medical records, because there's a lot that you can learn. Are they being referred for other treatment that they forgot to tell you, or you didn't know about? Is there a hidden medical provider somewhere, like at an emergency room, if they're given crutches, right? Did you get whoever that bill is from for the crutches, if there's a separate billing provider for that? So you want to review those records, make sure you know what's in them. Do you see all of a sudden that the person said, the doctor says, oh, this person was here a week ago for the same injury, right? You want to read those records early and often. If it's a medically complex case, or if it's someone that's coming to me kind of later in the process, then I might use someone like you, Lisa, to delve into those records for me and tell me what I'm dealing with. I recently had a client that came to me almost 3 years after her crash. She'd forgotten some of her medical treatment that she'd had, forgotten who the providers were, and there were a lot of like what I'll call sequela from the initial injury. So she was referred to a gastroenterologist and a cardiologist and a lot of other providers. And so trying to connect those dots was really difficult. And I used a nurse medical consultant, someone just like you. I didn't know you yet.
Next time.
But someone like you to go into those records. And a huge benefit of that too is that someone like you can put commentary that I don't necessarily know, like, gastro issues are a common side effect of this medication, or are not a common side effect of this medication. And so someone like you can really connect those dots for me. So when I'm going to meet with a doctor, I have those notes and say, well, doc, isn't this common? So can't you relate it? Or, if the doctor's trying to relate it and, or I'm trying to relate it, whatever it is, I already have a medical basis from a nurse before I go into that meeting with the doctor, before I go into that meeting with my client, as we're trying to figure out whether or not we can make a claim for that treatment. So that's a lot of what I look for when I get those medical records coming in. And you want to review those records early and often. Not having a chronology done can really, really hurt you. Just a simple list of what the medical treatment was, what's said at each appointment, so that when inevitably you get to litigation, you already have all of that written down, already lined up for you. You don't have to go back and review the records all over again.
All right. Well, it sounds like if it's complex, you look for legal nurse consultant help. But if it's pretty basic, you handle it and organize it yourself.
Yeah, as long as I'm comfortable with it. Injuries I've seen before, As long as I feel comfortable with it, then I try to handle it myself, keep costs low for the client. But when it starts to get complicated, absolutely need someone like you.
All right, no problem, no problem. And well, when you are going through these records yourself, do you find anything difficult or puzzling or frustrating about dealing with some of these medical records?
I
What's your
do.
pet peeve?
And I wish I didn't. So there's a few. One, I'll blame more on the electronic medical record system or the EMR.
Mhm.
And that is when I get records that are in reverse chronological order. So the first page is the most recent visit going all the way down, and the records are not, each record doesn't necessarily start on a new page. So basically you're starting at, the last page of a document, but maybe the fifth to last page of a document because that's where the note starts. And then you have to scroll up and find the next one. And even if it was in paper form, it would be just as difficult. So that is a pet peeve in terms of organization of medical records. Please give me the first one first. Have page breaks between every date of service. Make our lives easier for everyone who's reviewing it. I have had times where I've had paralegals that are like, basically literally cutting and pasting to try to make sense of the records and keep everything together. Another thing is, though, documenting well, right? Doctors and nurses have an obligation to document their file. I've seen doctors get written up by the Board of Medicine for not properly documenting their files. So it's a requirement, not just from me being picky, but it's a requirement as part of their job. And just last week, I was going through medical records and I could not tell why the patient went to the doctor on that date. I couldn't tell what was done. I couldn't tell if there was even an exam. I didn't know if it was telemedicine or in person. I didn't know what was recommended. Based on the date of service, I could assume that it was a follow-up from their accident because they had just been released from the hospital. And then a couple days later, they see a different provider in the same practice, and the notes are a little bit better documented, but still not really telling me why they're there. It mentioned the crash, it mentioned getting stitches out, but that was all it mentioned. And this woman had a lot of injuries. So that is extremely frustrating to go through medical records and just be confused as to why your client was there, what they're being treated for, is it related? So those are the things that I put kind of on the provider to make sure that they're doing their job. Then the last thing, which isn't a pet peeve, but that I would love more doctors to do, is to put causation into their records if they believe the injuries are related to this incident. So the client comes in or the patient comes in and says, "Hey doc, I was rear-ended a week ago. Ever since then, I've had really bad neck and back pain." Have the doctor put in there that it is my opinion that these injuries are related to the subject incident or, to last week's wreck, however they want to phrase it. But when we have causation in records already, it makes my job a whole lot easier because I know that the doctor believes it's related. It keeps costs low for the client because I don't have to pay the doctor to meet with them to find out if they believe the treatment is related or not. And it just streamlines things really well also for the insurance companies that we're dealing with, to point out to them, the doctor says in his records or her records, this is absolutely related. It doesn't let the insurance company challenge you on whether or not the treatment's related. So those are kind of the three things that I would love: a cleaner EMR, cleaner record keeping, documenting your files well. And if you believe injuries are related to, and if there's litigation involved, I know a lot of doctors don't want to be involved in litigation. At the end of the day, though, you're a fact witness. You treated this patient. Help me help you. If you put your opinions in your report, you deal with me less. We may not need to litigate. We may not need to call you to testify if we already know what your opinions are.
Well, you're asking for a lot, aren't you?
But the interesting thing, Lisa, is that so many doctors wind up being involved in litigation, not because they want to be, not because they necessarily, seek out people who were injured in certain incidents. But just the nature of things is that if you're an orthopedist, you're probably going to be called to testify at some point from someone who fell and broke their leg or had some type of injury after a car accident. And so I think that there should be really a class in medical school that's helping doctors understand, right? A psychiatrist will often be called to testify. There's all kinds of professions that the injuries that your client, as your patient is dealing with, very well may have litigation involved. And so to make the litigation process less scary, to not be scared of attorneys, right? Some medical practices, they hear there's an attorney on the phone and they're like, oh my God, call our malpractice carrier. Like, no, I just need some medical records. It's not that, I'm not going after your doctor. But primary care doctors as well, primary care physicians and internal medicine, family doctors. If a client has been seeing the same medical doctor for years, well, that's a great source to know their before and after. What was their life before? What was their life after? And that doctor will remember them. Oh, their personality changed, or I saw this change in them. I saw that change in them, whatever it might be. So it's not just their medical opinion on whether or not injuries are related, but their personal opinion on how this crash or injury has impacted that person's life.
Well, I think you should create that seminar, that medical documentation and legal issues seminar, and I would come there.
Yeah, well, it's not that far off. I've seen a lot of recent graduate coursework. That part of the coursework that you can opt into, it's not mandatory, but one of the electives you can take is kind of teaching you how to testify. Just understanding that there are certain professions, based on what you're doing, you're likely going to be called as a witness at some point, or as an expert witness, or there's a lot of money to be made as an expert witness, and giving you the tools that you would need so that you're not scared of attorneys, you're not scared of courtrooms.
All right. Hey, I like that. I find medical experts, expert witnesses too. So yes, I do know. I know you are speaking the truth. Well, you are a wealth of information and insights. So you have given a lot today, and I'm just trying to see if there is any more helpful knowledge nuggets that you can share with veteran or newbie attorneys to let them know if they should take these types of cases.
Well, I don't know. Right? People often say that I take cases a lot of other people wouldn't. They're, cases I believe in, or clients I think are sympathetic, or maybe I have a different approach to things. But my most recent paralegal, who I was so sad to leave when I started my firm, he'd tell me all the time, Tara, you take risks on cases other people wouldn't take. And so, I don't know if this is maybe the best advice, but my advice would be that if you in your gut feel like this is a good case, and if you have the legal standing for it, the medical standing for it, every now and then give it a chance. You never know what can come out of it. If it's somebody that really needs your help, they're going to appreciate that you made the effort to help them. Now, there's costs associated with that. So sometimes for financial reasons, you're not able to. But if you're able to do something, and sometimes all someone needs is a listening ear, to take the chance, and fight for them. And even if you're willing to go that far, then you've helped that person out.
That sounds like wonderful advice. Thank you. It's a pleasure having you here. So now is the time in our program where we get to a little Q&A for people that have questions for you. Are you ready to give answers?
I guess so.
Right. All right. Well, while you're getting your questions together for Tara, you can get ready and put them in the comment section, and she's going to answer them. But now's the time in our program where we have a little sponsor break. And I tell you really quickly a little bit about Wade Nurse Consultants and what we do here. And then we'll be right back to Tara Tighe. Now, without a review and summary of medical records, it may be harder for you personal injury or medical malpractice attorneys to know if you should take that case. And here at Wade Nurse Consultants, we give attorneys a 1 to 2 page synopsis and opinion regarding the merits of those medical cases by using my 30 plus years of nursing experience to make quick work of those medical case screenings. So if you are watching this and you already have a nurse paralegal on the payroll, this is not for you. But if you have a large backlog of medical case screenings to get through piled on your desk, here's what you do. Now we are offering a free 20-minute medical record strategy call to help you hone an efficient, timely, and cost-effective routine around your medical cases. And you'll find in the description box of this YouTube channel a link to schedule that free consultation. And now let's get back to Tara Tighe and a little Q&A. All right, Tara, let's look. Do we have any questions yet? Not yet. So this happens occasionally. I have a solution, and it works like this. I'm going to put Tara Tighe's contact information in the description box of this YouTube channel. And if you are catching us on the replay, just reach out with your question and she will answer it. Does that sound like a plan, Miss Tara?
It does. And I, maybe to a fault, I recently had someone ask me for some help and walk them through it and was trying to find representation for them. And they said, why are you doing all this to help me? You're not getting paid. And truly, we are all better when we help each other. So if you are, Lisa will put in my information, but I'm also easy to find on social media. My firm is TLT Legal Services, and most of my social media handles are Tara Tighe ESQ.
All right. Excellent. We've got a plan here, but I do have one question for you, Miss Tara.
Yeah.
Will you come back again and let me interview you?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. This was great.
Oh, yay. Well, it was a pleasure having you here. And, we're drawing to a close here. So let me just give you, anybody that's watching, a few reminders to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Lisa Wade LNC. That's our handle on YouTube. And if you have any questions for me about legal nurse consulting, there is my email, lisa@wadenurseconsultants.com. And I do have one comment there. Stephen Haber, Esquire. Great job. I think that's for both of us. Thank you, Stephen. Stephen's from New York. All right. Well, we're winding up. And as I said, thank you for coming, Tara. And catch us, everybody, next week, Monday, 5:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a brand new episode of Should You Take That Case? We'll see you later.
Thanks for watching and listening to another episode of Should You Take That Case with your host, Lisa Wade, your friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, and creator of our private LinkedIn community, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That is where we get all of our stellar attorney guests. The goal of our show is to be a resource for legal professionals who pursue medical cases by sharing their experiences and insights as defense or as plaintiff attorneys. You can catch prior episodes at www.wadenurseconsultants.com/blog, on LinkedIn, and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel and sharing this show with others.